Hello there, Hidden Hermit. Are you ready for another slice of inspiration and wisdom? Well, you're not going to find it here because today we're looking at the Seven of Pentacles. Now, the Seven of Pentacles is a curious card. It's a strange card. And I think it goes without saying that there is no established, firm interpretation across scholarly understandings. It's kind of confusing, to be perfectly honest. So let's have a look at it, shall we? Okay, so first of all, Seven of Pentacles is a pentacle relating to the element of earth. Here's a pentacle. There's 7 more. It is the third decan of Taurus, meaning it represents 20 to 30 degrees Taurus, which is roughly the 10th, the 11th of May until the 20th of May. Taurus is ruled by the Hierophant, and the ruling planet in Taurus is Venus, which in turn is instructed by the Empress. So you have that Hierophant, Empress, Taurus, Venus vibe going on with the Seven of Pentacles. Also, the court card associated with the third decan of Taurus is the Knight of Swords, and I'm showing you that straight away because he's going to keep coming back, because I think it's kind of important. Now, the third decan of Taurus is Saturn in Taurus, which again is, I think, it's going to be important. Let's look at some cards, shall we, so we can try and get a handle of what's going on. Here's the Waitsmith, and you see a guy. He's probably a farmer. He looks like a farmer. He looks like he should be a farmer. I think farmers generally carry poles, right? I don't know. But yeah, he's looking on a hedge where these pentacles have been growing. Now, I think it's quite important that there's one on the ground there. Now, some of the established, some of the given keywords for interpreting this card are things such as perseverance, long-term planning, assessment, reevaluation, slow, steady progress, waiting for the right time, just rewards, growth, accomplishment, commerce, reflection, taking a break, cultivation, the wait is almost over, commitment rewarded, effort, and long-term success. Now, I'd say that they were the keywords for, I don't know, about 60% of the card decks that you get. I'm not saying 60% of all of them, because I don't have all of them and I haven't read all of them, but yeah, clearly I'm building up to some conflict here. Some of the one of the other really strange interpretations that I came across was an office romance. I don't get how, but there you have it. I can't remember where it was, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, you've got this guy. He's looking at his crops. He's clearly waiting patiently. I mean, if you can see the look on his face, he seems somewhat pleased with himself, but he's not taken a great deal of action. And again, we've got that pentacle that's lying on the floor, and it shouldn't really be there. It should really be raised high in a hedge, I would have thought. If we look at the after tarot, so the same guy has decided to pick one, and he's walking away with it, and the look on his face is a bit more pleased with himself, I think. He's like, yay. Now, the book with the after tarot says, it does give a positive bent on the card. It says things like, okay, so, you know, you can harvest now, or, you know, I mean, this guy, he's taking one away with him. I don't know whether he's going to eat it or spend it. It's my understanding that pentacles don't grow on trees, but nevertheless, he's taking one with him. Now, has he been foolish in doing that? Should he have waited a little bit longer, perhaps? Well, I don't know. So I think I'm gonna. I was trying to plan a really decent structure to look at these cards, but there isn't one really. Now I'm going to go straight over to the Hermetic decks, because this is where the main conflict lies. So from the Kabbalah point of view, the Seven of Pentacles is in Netzach. I know I've pronounced it wrong. Which is the 7th sphere of beauty in Isaiah, which is the material world, which sounds pretty positive. You get that sense of beauty again from that Empress Venus vibe. However, that particular sphere is very low down in the tree of life, so it's not in a good place, to be perfectly honest. Here's the night sun. Another mysterious image from the night sun. Here we go. We've got Saturn in Taurus. It's a man sort of suspended in midair, and the chakras, the 7 classic chakras are being sort of, you can see them on his body. It's kind of, and also he's got an aura about him as well. Now, I'm almost certain. I'm not very certain. I don't know really, but I think this is giving you an idea of keeping yourself in balance in some respect. Maybe, maybe not. If we look at, let's go straight to the top deck. Now look at this card. Look at this card. It is grim. It is grim. You got your 7 Pentacles, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of them have got the glyph for Saturn on them, and 3 with the glyph for Taurus. So I don't know if a Crowley was trying to suggest that Saturn overrules Taurus. And when you think about it, Saturn and Taurus really should get on, shouldn't they? I mean, Taurus likes stability. Although Taurians do like their creature comforts as well, but they tend to they tend to work for them. They're very determined workers to get them. Whereas Saturn is I always say oppressive. Now that's a bit unfair, I think, but Saturn, he's a disciplinarian. He puts things in order. Yeah, he disciplines you. But there you go. Now, I think the important thing here is the top deck calls this card failure, and in the Book of Tot, the book of essays that kind of accompanies the deck, it really is quite grim. It says, oh yeah, you know, all the 7s, they're bad. It's all about illusion and plans gone awry, and it suggests that everything in the background of that, they're crops that have been spoiled. So yeah, and then it's quite blunt in the depiction of, or the interpretation is, it's you failed, which is pretty harsh. Now, the Golden Dawn title for the 7 of Pentacles is the Lord of Success Unfulfilled. And indeed, if we look at the Golden Dawn ritual tarot there, Success Unfulfilled, which again suggests that you've come to a point and you cannot go no further. Now, if we were to go back and think about the keywords those quite positive keywords, I think, associated with some of the other Waite-Smith decks, a lot of the reversals, the keywords for the reversals are things like unrequited labour, worries about money, failure, success unfulfilled, work for little gain, unprofitable gain, want, which is generally the vibe for what the Tot and the Hermetic decks suggest. So this is where there's some conflict. Now, that conflict could be very well because Saturn's here, Saturn's in Taurus, putting a bummer on everybody. And again, the court card ruler for the 3rd decan is the Knight of Swords. Now, the Knight of Swords and Taurus they're not going to get on. The Knight of Swords is impetuous, he's insensitive, he just goes marching and he wants action. He doesn't really think about it, despite the fact that he's from a suit of air. So if you can imagine the Knight of Swords coming together with the Hierophant or even the Empress, there's going to be, they're not going to see eye to eye particularly well, I would have thought. So again, that could be a sense of the conflict. Just tidying up my workspace here. I'm trying to do it so that I can go back to cards, because I think I'm going to need to. Let's look at some more cards, shall we? Here's the Game of Thrones tarot. Incredibly reminiscent. Instead of a young farmer, though, you've got a groundskeeper at King's Landing. And interestingly, he's looking at a small budding plant on the same tree as these. Well, they're coins. They're the Tyrrell emblem, which I believe means something like growing stronger. And he's checking one of the smaller ones. Now, is he checking it because, oh, some of these have failed, some of these aren't working out right, or is he checking it going, oh look, here comes another one. Who knows? But again, yeah, it's very reminiscent of the Waite-Smith image. Here is the Mystic Dreamer. Again, it's very, very similar. And again, you've got 6 on the tree and 1 on the floor. The Mystic Dreamer loves putting ravens here and there, and indeed moons. Now, in the book for the Mystic Dreamer, for every card it has this little box saying use your intuition, and the questions for this card was, what do you think the raven means? What do you think the full moon means? I don't know. However, it does raise a good point. I think once all is said and done, and I haven't said and done anything yet, I do think the Seven of Pentacles lends itself more to an intuitive interpretation. It really is going to depend on what comes before, after, or with it. And, you know, this... Well, let's look at some more cards first, shall we? Here's the Dreaming Way. Now, the book in the Dreaming Way suggests the same thing. Don't count your chickens before they've hatched. Wait a second. And you see this young woman here. She's been shopping. Which I think is a lovely image. And I love her bags. I think they're awesome. But you've got that one pentacle that's gone awry, and just look at the expression on her face. I don't know. She doesn't seem particularly happy about that. She doesn't seem to be particularly concerned about chasing it, or you know, I don't know. Is it dropping from the air? I don't think so. I think it's flying away. I think it's getting away from her. However, the Dreaming Way does give the same sort of bent to the interpretation of the card. So, well, we'll see. As does the Fountain. Again, you've got somebody who's planted things. Things have come to fruition. He's checking on them.'s not harvesting them at this point. He's just making sure they're okay so far. So he's put the work in. He's planted the seeds, and the seeds are growing. Again, the Fountain, in its own interpretation, is that kind of ambivalent. Is that the right word? Yeah, I think so. There is a sense of, well, you know, anything could happen, if you like, including failure. Here's the Wild Unknown, with a quite unremarkable card, in my opinion, considering some of the other striking images in this deck. It merely is 7 Pentacles, and again, the book is somewhat vague. It suggests that, you know, you should probably wait, show a bit of patience. I believe it's the Wild Unknown where they say what I said. It's a curious card, but yeah, really kind of dull for the Wild Unknown. Unknown's the dullest card, maybe. I don't know. Here's the Line Strider. Again, you have a bowerbird here. He's built his nest, and he's still building it, really, in a sense. And, well, there isn't really much more I can say about that. Again, it's that sort of kind of positive, but kind of unsure interpretation that comes with the book. In fact, most of the text is about the actual drawing itself. But hey. Again, the same as Shadowscapes. Their Seven of Pentacles is, you've got a Dryad here who's checking fruit on a branch. Now, I don't know the correlation between the fruit in her basket and the fruit on the tree. The fruit in her basket, they just look like apples to me, whereas the fruit on the tree looks like something magical and amazing. Now, is it suggesting that that if she was to pick it now, it would just turn into an apple? Or, I don't know. But again, you've got that sort of unsure feeling with the interpretation in the book. That sort of sense of maybe you should wait. We're going to get a little bit darker here. Here's the Dark Grimoire Tarot. The Pentacles are shadows in this deck, and it's an interesting image. You've got somebody here who's studying. So the fruits of his labour are more of the mind than money or fruit, or indeed his health. but he's clearly got this other shadow over his shoulder, and some interesting artifacts positioned around his desk and on his shelves. But this is clearly quite a menacing card. If this was to come out, I would suggest something like, oh, you know, maybe there's something bugging you. Maybe there is, you know, you've got a demon speaking in your ear or something along those lines. But yeah, so we're getting somewhat negative here in a sense, I suppose. Make things chirpier. Here's a Deviant Moon. The Deviant Moon's actually, it's quite an upbeat card for the rest of the deck. It depicts a young witch who has gone to a dying tree, and she's practicing her magic on it. And as you can see, the tree has sprouted blood, and then these 7 pentacles have manifested, if you like. And the key words, the key phrase in the Deviant Moon book is developing skills, which kind of has a similar sense to this 7 of Pentacles. Developing your crops, developing your ideas, developing your financial success, your work life, your health, and yet you've still got this idea of failure. I do like this image on the Deviant Moon. Well, I like all the images. There's the moon at the top there, but she's a cool looking character. I like her. I like her tail. The Quantum Tarot, again, is quite positive. And let me see if I can do the whole shiny light thing. As you can see, that figure there. Now this figure, you got this large. Well, you do have 7 pentacles, but you've got this one large pentacle, and again you've got these orbs in the middle of them. Now the 7 of Pentacles in the Quantum Tarot is titled Quarks. Now the interesting thing about quarks, and it does say this in the book, is there are 6 quarks. They're named up, down, top, bottom, charmed and estranged. Now of those 6 quarks, only up and down are stable. The rest, if you leave them to do their own thing, they just sort of, they evaporate. Well, not evaporate, no matter evaporates, but they decay into lighter things. So you've got a 2-to-1 choice of staying stable in that one, which, well, you know, are not good odds. The book in the Quantum Tarot asks you to count your blessings. Now, you can count your blessings whether you've been really successful or whether you've not been quite as successful. You still should count your blessings. So it's a rather, I keep using the words unsure and vague. It's a rather undirected interpretation, if you were to ask me. Here's the Cosmic Tarot. Now look at this guy. Look at this guy. So the Cosmic Tarot depicts a depressed man going across a somber region. Now the Cosmic is like the Tot and the Hermetics. It's negative. It's like, well, something went wrong. And you can see he's got 2 in his hands and 5 are on the floor. And in the book, there really isn't anything positive to say about this card. So whether the designer of this deck was more informed by the Hermetic tradition than I mean, this is interesting because obviously the Waite-Smith is technically a Golden Dawn deck, and yet the image of the farmer with his crops, it doesn't lend itself to abject failure, whereas the Cosmic certainly does, I would have thought. Going against the grain here, the Archeon. The Archeon's quite positive. You've got this very striking image, as they are with the Archeons, of the coins. Again, it's very reminiscent of the Waite-Smith, and the subtitle for this card is At Peace in the Garden of Golden Delight. The keywords it suggests with the interpretation are all those semi-positive things about long-term planning and yeah, sort of giving yourself a little bit of time. Which is unusual for the Archeon, but welcome. And again, against the run of play, here's the Santa Muerte. It's quite a dark card aesthetically. So yeah, the Archeon, sorry, no, the Santa Muerte, in fact, its interpretation is almost wholly positive. If I... Yeah, it goes on to say about you've actually done well. You've planted your seeds, and now you're taking stock, and well done. You know, continue at that pace. You've done a good job. Which, I mean, yeah, the Santa Muerte is counter what most other meanings. So it's I suppose it is true to form that it is such a positive card when, you know, we've had failure and uncertainty so far. The advice of the dead for the Seven of Pentacles reads, stay calm and reflect before acting. With careful movements, your well-being and your earnings will continue without problems. Which, if anybody told me that about anything, I'd be like, ah, brilliant, thank you very much. Let's put the Santa Muerte away. There are a couple of curveballs, as usual. Those decks that just like bending the rules. Usually it's the Archeon and the Santa Muerte. Here is the Dark Rayo, a deck that I'm not keen on, mostly because of the use of boobage, I think. We've seen a few boobs already, but here is a blue lady with a boob. Now, the Dark Rayo suggests that the Seven of Pentacles is about being part of the world, having a sense of belonging, and or losing yourself in your environment. And this woman here, she's kind of ethereal. She's not quite there just yet. She's not corporeal in any way, I suppose. But yeah, it's a curveball. It's a curveball one. It doesn't really have much bearing on the rest of it, but hey. Here's the Tarot of Sexual Magic. Now, the Tarot of Sexual Magic, as you may or may not know, you may have seen the other videos where I feature some cards from it. It is a deck that can be used like a traditional deck, but it's also a deck that's geared specifically towards love, relationships, and passion. However, the Seven of Pentacles does kind of tie in with some of these other cards. That the subtitle is called Tiredness, the Magic of Seven Knots, and it suggests that love and passion won't last unless you're prepared to put energy into your relationship and your partner. Which is interesting because, I don't know, does this guy look tired? Have all these people put so much effort in, and I mean, is this guy being impetuous by taking his pentacle away too early? You know, he's had enough. He's put too much work in and he wants to... Is he being impatient, is the question. So yeah. Flash the sexual magic again one more time. Thank you. So yeah, it's a really, really strange card. Again, I'd probably like to reiterate that if it does come up in a reading, then it's very much going to depend. It's not a well dignified card by itself, I think, because of this unsure, vague, almost apathetic nature of it. It does bother me that the Hermetic decks are so negative. And you hear people say that there aren't positive and negative cards, but I somewhat disagree. I mean, I think the Four of Wands is totally positive. I think the Sun also is pretty positive. But this success unfulfilled, this idea of failure, it does taint my... When it comes up, I'm like, oh, okay. So it does ask you for patient resolve. It does ask you for caution, I think. And then you have that Knight of Swords blazing away, just getting in everybody's hair. I've lost the Knight of Swords, naturally. Let me find a Knight of Swords. In fact, I've got loads of Knight of Swords here. I've been chucking cards around. There you go. I may as well just flitter through these. So yeah, the Knight of Swords, as a court card, it's all about action, doing stuff. There's usually a lot of movement going on in these cards. So you've got the Hierophant and the Empress. You've got the World and the Knight of Swords, all coming together to bring up this mishmash of, well, I'm not quite sure what's going on. So yeah, that's the Seven of Pentacles for you. I hope I haven't, put too much worry in your head, because yeah, I think that the ultimate message is one of perseverance, and maybe there's even a message of, you know, if you have failed, you can pick yourself up and try again if you like. It's that Saturn influence more than anything else that's concerning, because Taurus and the Empress are all about abundance and luxury. Saturn comes along and says, nope, calm it down, please. So yeah, there you have it. I'm going to leave you with that, with the Seven of Pentacles. As always, if you have any of your own insights or any images from other decks or any interpretations from other decks, please, please, please do share them, because it is a very strange and curious card. And yeah, look at him. Look at him go. And you got this sort of kind of sense of positivity, but not quite. There's the nice swords. Thank you. Running away, getting lost. Anyway, okay, I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching. As usual, please leave comments. Please like if you like it. If you don't like it, don't dislike it, because, well, do what you want. Thank you very much.